Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Stool podcast. This is season 8, episode 1. Season 8.
It's
I
what?
can't believe it.
Season 8?
Holy
We're
crap.
very excited to be back. Season 8. Eh? Which means that this has been running for 8 years. Like, I was
Is
a
that the
different
maths,
guy
Robin,
8
is
years
it?
ago. That took me a while to come to that conclusion, but I got there in the end.
It's and this season particularly, we seem to have sat on our hands and we've all been busy as shit, so we haven't got going quite when we thought we should be going, but we're here now.
We're about a month.
So with that in mind, I've had a number of people, more than I've had before, contacting me saying, "What's going on? Where's the show?" And what's really interesting is everyone's been contacting me within the last month. So I think people are starting to understand our cycle.
Yeah.
And so thanks for all the messages from everyone. Really appreciate that. I got back from a month-long holiday in South Africa last week, which is why we've had to push this out.
Yeah.
I went back to see mom and dad, which was fantastic. Jet lag's a thing, which I've never had before.
Right.
And so I had this sort of idea of let's start last week, but it would have been a shit show. So here we are.
Is that the first time you've taken the kids back to South Africa, Ron?
I took my daughter in 2019, but she was just a potato then. So, she didn't really notice the effects. But that was, when I say jet lag, that's been the worst bit. I felt it a little bit more this time than last time. That could just be incidental. But kids have a clock. They have a routine. And the first week that we were there in South Africa, we were all waking up at 3 a.m. And then we got back to Australia and no one was going to bed until 3 a.m. And it was so frustrating. My wife and I had this idea because we arrived on Tuesday night. She went to work the next day on Wednesday. And I said, no, we'll put the kids back into school on Wednesday. They'll be fine. They'll be excited to see their mates. They only got to school on Friday because it took us 2 days to actually get them to have a half a night's sleep.
Crazy. Yeah. Well, I haven't taken the kids away that far before, so yeah.
Amazing on the plane. We had a really good time, but next time we're going to get back on a Friday. So we've got the whole weekend to recover.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So let's start by catching up on where we're all up to. Bryan, do you want to go first? Because you were talking before the show about taking phone calls with the teaching.
Yeah. So how long am I into the teaching now? Maybe 10 months. Getting through it. It's been full on, really full on. Over Christmas, what a nightmare. Like they give you 10 days off. In fact, no, sorry, not 10 days off. 8 days off. With assignments due, it's just been insane.
And Bryan doesn't want to talk to us anymore.
Good old technical difficulties.
You did have a bit of a delay in it anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to update us then, Joey?
I'll soldier on. I've got so much to talk about, so I'm probably good for the rest of the season. Tell me to shut up. I have been conspicuously not doing anything on Instagram for the pure reason that I don't think I just haven't have the time or even like thought of it.
I have noticed that you've been pretty absent.
Yeah.
What I do find interesting is you're so used to people with Instagram. There's a even if it's a small amount, there's always a progression. You see a progression. Yours is just, here's something cool that I've built.
Yeah.
3 months. Here's something and it does. There's no like, now I'm focusing on kitchens or now I'm focusing this.
Yeah.
It's just things coming out of left field.
Yeah. I got so when we left last season, I think I was saying I was just about to start making a spiral staircase. And
yes, that's right.
So that went in so easily. It was so stupid how like I put both sets in a day, and
right.
It was just like it just went in. It was so easy.
Is that because? Do you think that's because of your experience on the last one?
Yeah, partly like super good communication with the builder and who was doing what. Everyone knew what part they had to do. We had a really good plan. from the get-go, like how the curved wall would be constructed and what stage I come in, and then everyone just knew what their job was. And the place was clean and tidy, ready for me. I came in, put the stairs in, and then the next day the builders are in there doing, whatever else they're doing to it.
And no on the job hiccups or
No, I
unforeseen.
mean, the only thing is that it went in so quickly. I was kind of planning for a 2 day, like a day per set. And we got to about 1 o'clock and we were kind of packing up after the first set. And the owner was like, "So you're going to do the other set?" And I was
Sorry,
like,
guys.
"Oh, well, yeah, all right. Let's just do the other set as well at the same time." So
It's
yeah,
very seldom that you underquote by, or sorry,
yeah,
overquote by so much.
yeah. I just expected it to be a nightmare, but so that one client, and I wanted to talk about this. I've kind of got I feel like I've got my mojo back a little bit. And we talked about this, and one of the 8 seasons previous, we've talked about imposter syndrome and this. I forget what you call it, but there's like this learning curve where you think you're doing really well, but then you get to a certain point and you realize that your confidence is actually way down low because you can kind of see over the crest of the learning experience, and then you realize you've got so much more to go that you feel shit again. And I think I'm like have been down in that valley, and I'm working my way back up to like I think I know what I'm doing, but I'm not like pretentious about it. And so this one client with the curved stairs has got me to do, I mean, every room in the house at this point. I've got all this work lined up still for her, and now
How much further in or how long is this going to take?
well, I've probably got 3 more good projects for her, so another, I don't know, month of work.
Right. Okay.
But we're getting down to side tables and dining tables, and but she is very fussy, but I would describe her as my like perfect client because she knows what she wants exactly. She's willing to listen to professionals, either me or the builders or the plumbers, whoever it is that we have to deal with. She's willing to hear what the problem is and what the solutions are, and then she'll say, "Right, solution C," and then like you, solution B, and we'll combine them and we'll do that. Let's get it done, and then it gets done. And like she's aware that the exact thing she wants might not be possible, but by working with the different trades, we can get to like 99% of what she wants. And then she's like straight in there with like she told me right from the get-go, "I've got an eagle eye, you're not going to get anything past me." And I was freaking out like, shit, can I actually pull this off? Because a lot of her cabinetry was sprayed and I was doing all the spraying, and I was like, this will be a test. But she was like 100% happy with everything, and there was just a couple of little bits and pieces which happen with lots of cabinetry where you get a scrape or a scratch or something. Fine, fix it up. But I felt really confident after this job and going forward that I can actually produce top quality stuff with somebody who knows exactly what they want and expects the highest quality. And I think so, yeah, really felt good about the whole process, which is nice for a change to like not always be worrying. So it gives me more confidence when people come to me and with difficult scenarios, and I can just say from the outset, this has to be done like this, or if you want this finished, this has to happen because I've been there, I've done it, I kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm not the god of woodworking, but like I think I have a pretty good idea of what you want.
And I was just about to ask on that point about knowing what to do, because you've been doing this now, for over a decade?
Yeah.
Are you at a point now where most jobs coming to you, you can see what's involved from the get-go? Or do you still get jobs and have to really think about how you're going to approach this, or what you're going to do, or where there's potential issues that potential unknowns?
I still have to deal with how am I going to do it, but I feel like I jump that hurdle within like a minute of thinking about the job. It's really quick because it's very easy to like, there's only so many ways you can bend a piece of wood. And so which one of those ways is going to suit this job? Okay. Option A, that's your solution. And this is, I mean, I was going to bring this up later on, but this is a job. I just had a lady ask me about this coffee table. So picture the letter U, squish it down a bit so it's flat, and then like extrude it out so it's about the same size as a coffee table. So it's like a channel, like an upside, like a U-shaped long channel, right?
Okay.
But it's like square. So it's like
just lends itself to natural coffee table.
And then you're going to put a hunk of glass on the top of that. So you've got this upside down U, put a piece of glass on it. She sent me this picture and said, I want one of these. And I said, right, well, I mean, based on this picture, it's going to have to be veneered. I'm going to have to make like a skateboard and then put some veneer on it, pretty much. And it's going to cost you like $5,000 for all the work involved in making this mold and everything else. So she came back to me almost immediately and said, well, I got a quote for $1,800 in solid timber, and that's what I want, solid timber. And I thought, well, I said, that's fine, good. But just so you know, you're not going to get this table for $1,800 in solid timber. It's not going to look the same for reasons A, B, and C. And then I just left her. I mean, she can go do what she likes, but it's a weird thing to like why. I wanted to ask you guys about how do you deal with somebody who wants solid wood because they think it's the best option. Like it's just not the best option for a lot of things. Like you're not going to make a toilet out of wood because it's wood.
You actually are. I saw one on Instagram not too long ago. Guys, yeah, but
it's literally shit.
Did you guys see that? He's taken 2 hours of a toilet, cut out the channel, and put it together. I've found that people, there's different layers to this question, because solid wood for some people can also mean plywood. So they don't want particle board.
Right.
Plywood is close enough to solid wood.
Yeah.
So I'll often spin that with clients. We're going to make it out of solid wood, but we'll use plywood because it's structural. And a lot of the time that seems to work.
Yeah, you're right. Especially for cabinets, people love hearing plywood. I actually had said I was going to make this coffee table out of plywood and then veneer it. And that wasn't good enough still. So I was just like, okay, I don't want to argue. I don't waste my time. But I thought it's just a strange thing. It's happened a few times where people request a thing and you're like, it's just not the best thing. And maybe in times past, I would have fought for the job. But it's just like, you can't change someone's mind, and you're not going to do shit work. So,
I'm taking on a job. I mentioned to you guys, I'm picking up a whole stack of teak.
Yeah,
I'm doing tomorrow. Very excited about that. It was around 10 grams worth of teak had to be shipped up from Brisbane,
and that's like a wheelbarrow load. Well, that's like nothing.
It's the package size is 300 kilos worth of it.
Holy shit!
Which is not a lot.
Well, that's a heavy amount of wood, but it's probably not that big of. It's only probably like 4 sticks, right?
No. He said, I've got 39 in mind, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
The longest piece is 3.7 though, so they're
holy
relatively
shit.
Short.
Well, that's long for teak.
Right. Okay.
Because here at least they sell teak by like the 900 mil increments, and the longer it is, the more expensive it gets.
Well, it's funny. I took on this job, and the first thing I did was ring up my one of the suppliers up the road to see if he's got any. He basically, the tone in the email was him laughing.
Yeah.
Because he was like, "There's A, I don't have teak. B, teak is so mega expensive. Just be prepared for this to be an absolute fortune." I'm just going through the email to see. 39 pieces. 39 pieces.
Okay.
And anyway, so this was a particular job for a client who wants 2 sideboards made, and he wants it made out of teak. and he wants it to be solid wood. And I was having this conversation with him about the fact that, this is basically just a cabinet.
Yeah.
Does it need to be out of solid teak? And he said yes, he wants it to be out of solid teak.
Okay.
And it's a fairly simple, the design is not complicated at all, but because he wants it out of solid teak, it's just the job is
massive.
It's massive. It's
Cost-wise,
so expensive.
Yeah.
And that's an example of someone who said no plywood, no particle board, nothing. He showed me around his house, and he's got this old house quite a way out of town with so many pieces that have come from Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Which, lends
So
itself
teak.
to, you can see where teaks come from.
Yeah.
He's got this like log 4-post bed. His entire kitchen is made of Tassie myrtle, solid wood.
Right.
It is beautiful.
Crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so his whole thing is, I don't want plywood in the house. I want it to be solid wood. But
all right.
Yeah. If you're willing to put in the money,
yeah,
let's do it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, apologies for the technical issues, guys.
Know.
It took all of 2 minutes of a series for my internet to stop working. So, yeah,
nice.
I picked up little bits and pieces of
now?
that conversation. I am back.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the solid wood versus veneered conversation again, part
slightly
75.
I mean, I was just like, there's no way, Bryan, you might have some input. I don't know if anyone's ever, because you mainly make solid timber stuff anyway. But I mean, if someone asks you about something that would maybe have to be like bent lamb or something, effectively plywood. No, I need solid timber. How do you even broach that with someone who has a set point of view, but actually they're wrong?
I think that says a lot about the client, really. What you were saying earlier, Joey, about, clients that are willing to trust you. Like when it comes to technical aspects of timber, solid versus veneered or torsion boxes or any of that kind of stuff, like the client cares about what the end product looks like. Okay. It should be up to a maker. If they're a skilled maker, it should be up to them to decide really whether, and veneer doesn't always mean cheaper. That was a misconception that when I came into it, cheaper, lower quality. It's like, no, actually, the effort to get really good veneers, to press them properly. And yeah, sometimes technically it makes sense with expansion, contraction, all those things that we speak about so many times. So, and with the cost of solid timber going up again, like post this Iran war, like veneers are starting to stack up anyway for a lot of projects. I think. Like I had somebody reach out asking, could I make a 6-seater dining table, just a small little an 8-seater dining table for $1,200 in solid timber. I'm like, nah.
Buy the sandpaper.
Yeah. Well, I'll buy the timber and you can put it together and you can give me $1,200. It's the same conversation we have so many times. It's just about reaching out and finding the right clients, and it sounds as though you've got an absolute cracker there.
Yeah. So before you got cut off there, Bryan, you were talking about teaching. Just to clarify, so you're still in the studying phase. You haven't actually started teaching.
No, just placements. So I will graduate sometime early next year. Hoping to start working before then. You can work with permission to teach. So yeah, I mean, the ideal is just to keep going with Sawdust Bureau and get into teaching as I think I mentioned before, like a 70%, 80% contract would be the dream. So I'm still looking for that, but yeah, I'm working on plenty of different things at the minute. I'm doing a bit more dabbling in architecture that I haven't done in a long time. A friend of mine bought a mid-century house in Essendon in Melbourne that I'm doing a bit of planning for them on. They want to rejig a few things and renovate, so that's been happening.
Is there a lot of contract work in that?
Not really. No, it's they're doing a lot of the management of it. They just want design input into it. It's an interesting house that's had a few different bolt-ons to it over the over the years. There's been like a 70s extension, and I think it's a 50s house and 70s 80s extension on the back. Just yeah. So that all needs to be redone. Still working on some projects, in discussions with a big client in Sydney about a massive boardroom table, which could potentially affect, my studies, like when I graduate. So I'm kind of in this moment of, do I put a pause on the studies for a few months to take this project on?
Cool.
Yeah. So that's happening.
Interesting
in the background.
design, or just a very big project?
Yeah, an interesting design. Yeah. But it's huge. Like, it would be, I don't know if you remember, I did like a grouping of tables for Wardle for an exhibition. There was like 24 tables or something. It would be not much smaller than that. So it's pretty enormous. I think it was, I can't remember the exact dimensions, but 10 meters long by 3 meters wide, something like that. So trying to work out how to make that in a modular form, where you're not trying to get everything to line up seamlessly, but you're making it look like a modular table, like it's, integral into the design. And it's going to a corporate office in Sydney. So obviously having to deal with the transportation issues, access issues, getting into lifts.
Shocking.
So it's one of those really big, stressful
cutting
projects.
With angle grinders to get it around.
Yeah, I'm not doing that again. Great memory though, Robin. So yeah, it's really just about balancing up. Like at the minute, for the last 5 months, I've been sort of ticking along, working on small projects for repeat clients, little coffee tables, memory boxes, the trophies, all stuff like that. So it's whether or not I want to jump back into doing a big project and put the teaching on hold for a little bit. But I've really enjoyed getting back into doing a bit of architecture again. Not dealing with councils or anything like that, but actually just doing the design side has been
design. Yeah.
I've been doing a little bit of writing for Wood Review as well.
Okay.
Cool. On behalf of the show, I'd just like to pay my respects to Ralph Nathan, who obviously passed away last month. So
I saw that.
So it's very very sad. So I'm sending our regards to Linda and the team at Wood Review and all his friends and family. I've been doing a little bit of writing for them, a bit of product review on a fun little. I've been so bad at Instagram, as you've not seen, but
Same with
I
me,
will start posting stuff. I will start posting. But yeah, I've had the Shaper Bench Pilot to review for Wood Review, which has been really interesting. I was quite, words maybe not skeptical, but I didn't think that I would have a use for it in my shop. I didn't think it was the whole point of the Shaper was the flexibility, and you can work on whatever size you want, and the idea of then bringing it back to a gantry to be restricted by size, to me was kind of counterintuitive. But I have to say I'm pretty impressed. Like, not just with the automation aspect of it, but the improvements in the cut quality. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. Like, being able to fine tune.
Wow, what's changed?
Well, if you think about it, like the Shaper, you're always having to drive it manually. So trying to keep pressure as you're going around feed corners and curves. So it's really about the feed pressure and the speed of the feed. So if your bit's not perfectly sharp, and you're pushing it, you imagine you're getting a slight angle on the Shaper or slight deflection in the spindle. So when it's clicked into Bench Pilot, it's taking all that strain out of it and it's controlling it. So you get, I was doing plywood as a test piece on it, and you're just getting no burn off it. Like, it comes off it looking sanded. Cool. I was pretty impressed. So I'm trying to work out how to budget for one of those.
How much did you go for?
I think it's about $2,000. So
okay, so not astronomical.
It's not crazy.
It's not astronomical, but it's just on top of everything else that you've already invested. Like that, people can read the review when it comes out the next issue, but it's a large cost in the ecosystem. But if you're already in it and it's just that plug-in thing to basically automate it into a CNC, like for batching small parts. Far out, it's so good. I did a test run on one of the star map tables, which went really well. So if I can automate that process and just leave them cutting while I'm working on other stuff, like it starts to pay for itself pretty quickly.
Your table that you built in the media the other day, what's it? Is it the Wardle table?
Oh, the Clover table, yeah.
The Clover table. Yeah. What's his name was sitting around at?
Kevin McLeod.
Name? Yeah, McLeod and it was pretty cool. That was his place. Cool, yeah. It was in situ. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, that's the Anglesey house. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Cool.
It's pretty sweet seeing it. How old's that now? A year and a half, and yeah, it still looks really good. The finish is held up. But like for all the people that say, you need something stronger than a hard wax oil on a table, I'm like, if you care for it, you don't. If you use coasters, you don't. If you don't use chemicals on it, you don't. Like, yeah, of course, eventually it will scratch up, but there's 18 months in use that table, and it still looks great.
One of the things you said a while ago, Bryan, and I think it was in reference to something I talked about with finishing. We were talking about different finishes, and you very flippantly said, just give it a sand it to a high grit and oil. That's all you need. And I remember at the time thinking, you can't do that. That's not a proper finish. That's exactly what I've come around to now.
With a hard wax oil, you mean?
Or not even, just a regular oil. If you finish the table up enough, you can put an oil on, and you don't need to worry about all this layering of films and getting it all perfect and that kind of thing, especially in the industry that we're in. We are in an industry of fine furniture, so you don't need to be covering this thing in armor. The idea is, keep that wood.
I guess
showing.
So it totally depends on the use of the piece, the user of the piece, right? Like I'm sitting at an island bench that I made 10, 11 years ago, and it's got a black butt top on it that I'm pretty sure it's just got a Danish oil finish on it. Like it's been that long since I put a finish on it, and it's fine. Like there's a few light scratches on it, but it's a really hard timber, so the timber is doing the work to resist a lot of the scratches. But it's also how I treat it. Like I don't put hot plates down on it. I don't put red wine glasses on it. Things like that.
That's the biggest. You said it's the user who, and that they have the most influence on anything that they buy, whether it's a piece of furniture or a door in their house or whatever. If you slam your doors, it's going to eventually break something. And so, but doors aren't meant to be slammed, and so that's the biggest, I don't know, the unknown for anyone who makes anything is you can spend all this, put all this TLC into a piece and it just gets misused straight away. Then, it's not going to be any good. But that's a whole different conversation about people's respect for anything,
for something that they're paying a lot of money for.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
And then the last thing was Aidan from Cutthroat Knives, a friend of the show, reached out. He's just got back from holiday from Fiji and spotted a fake pinch bench in the Fiji Sheraton. So shout out to Fiji Sheraton.
Really?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's like straight. There's a few tiny, like the top doesn't look on the side where on my piece that is totally flush. It looks as though it's slightly inset, but it's the same piece. I'll post that on my Instagram actually. That's always fun to look at.
I was just about to say, did he post it on his by any chance?
He hasn't. He asked me would I be all right with it. Like I think he just wanted to check, but I mean, I don't really care anymore. Everybody knows my views on intellectual property, and if institutions like the Sheraton want to deal with knockoff stuff, I can't do anything to stop that. So, yeah.
Do you get people contacting you on how to build it?
I used to. I get
these emails from people who say, it's particularly around the cot that I made years ago and I put up on YouTube. it's always a guy who's a granddad who's got a kid who's having a baby. It's always phrased the same. It's always the exact same sentence. And I've always wondered if, that's someone trying to get the plan so they can build it themselves. Surely with your pinch bench, you must be getting the same thing.
But even though you've effectively done a how-to video, right? So what are they? They're literally looking for the plans of you.
The plans, yes. And I'm never sure if the person's legit or if it's someone trying to knock
That
off.
always weirds me out, the plan thing. Because I'm like, if you can build something, just work it out.
I
Especially if there's a video.
For years. Like when you see different YouTubers talking about plan sales, it's like, how many plans do you actually have to sell to make it worthwhile to go through the documentation process? Like, I have contemplated it. I've just never done it. But to answer your question,
have you ever used a plan? Oh, sorry. Yeah, go for it.
Me? No.
Exactly. I don't know anyone who's bought plans. So
but I'm not
who's buying these things.
I'm not massively opposed to it at the same time. Like, I think the way most people get into woodworking is looking at a photo on the internet and copying it, right? And I think there's quite a skill involved in then trying to work out how it got made, and that will develop you as a maker, as opposed to just, this is step 1, step 2, step 3. But 100%, like when I taught it, when I was teaching at the Victorian Woodworkers Association, loads of people would come in with Fine Woodworking magazine or Wood Review magazine, and they'd be following the steps in it. So I can see it's a good entryway into woodworking. Whether or not it would stack up economically for me to sell my pieces versus selling one pinch bench, how many plans am I going to have to sell? $40-50 a pop to make it worthwhile. But I do have people not ask for plans for it, but ask me, do you mind if I make it? Which I think is fine, to be honest. No, if it's for non-commercial use, it's fine. That's literally like the equivalent of getting in contact with a musician saying, do you mind if I do a cover of your, I'm playing down the pub, do you mind if I do a cover of your song? It's like they're not making money out of it. They're not taking away from my revenue. If they want to have a crack at making it from my photographs, like, I can't stop them.
Go for it. Yeah.
I kind of have a bit of respect, the fact that they actually reached out. But my advice to them always was, it's probably the hidden teacher or tutor in me is, right, well, can you use that as a starting point and kind of make it your own? If you want to do the inlaid magazine thing, turn it into a different piece. And I've had quite a few people do it and send me photos, send me progress photos, and they're really proud of the fact that it's been a design process for them as opposed to just a straight replica.
Yeah, I've never been in the position where I've seen something and thought, I want that exact thing. So I guess that's one reason why plans for me would just be useless, because the first thing I'm going to do is modify it to fit my space or do the thing I wanted to do, other than, I just don't, I have not really ever been a fan of.
Joey, your brain works in that, like, you're a builder, right? Like, you've built, and like, some people's way of thinking doesn't align with that.
I get that.
They see a finished piece and there's no way, like, they don't even know what the start point is. Whereas it would probably take your brain, if I sent you a photo of a piece of furniture of mine, it would probably take your brain less than 30 seconds to actually map out the major steps in making it. So that's kind of
all right
where I've been up to. So yeah, look out for the fake photo of the pinch bench. It's pretty jazzy.
Will do.
Yep.
All right, Robin, what's up? What you been doing apart from holidaying?
Yeah, that's all I've been doing. No.
Yeah.
I feel like since we last spoke, the end of last year and the beginning of this year were quite slow. Just not a lot of work coming in. I was trying to chase a lot of stuff. Nothing much was happening. And then in around February, March, it all just kicked off. And now I'm just constantly behind. I just can't get ahead. I'm not profitable as I want to be, which is so frustrating. I think we're going to have a lot of chats on this season about this, because I don't know where I'm going wrong in this industry to make this a profitable business. I've got the next 4 months worth of work. Easy. That's lined up. I've portioned that out. But it's really about generating that livable profit. And Joey, I constantly in the back of my head have that bloody booklet that you wrote where you said woodworkers will never be rich or something. That's constantly in the back of my head. That's the only thing that's keeping me going, is that, someone once said that I'm obviously not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, I've got as we were talking about earlier with the teak, I've got these 2 teak. They're like sideboards with CD trays in them. It says 2 pull-out drawers for
Old
CDs
school.
Nice. Where do they put their cassettes, Robin?
Yeah.
Do you know what the funniest thing is? And it's this whole project is amazing clients, but it's so. These drawers are going to live underneath his desk, right? They're not even on show. They're underneath his worktop, and they're solid teak. And I just think, again, his choice, but what a waste! What a waste of this beautiful timber.
Have you worked with teak before?
Never. This is gonna be my first time.
It's got,
and I'm getting it all rough sawn as well. So
nice.
I'm gonna be figuring out.
It's so awesome to work with. It's got a unique smell that I really like, and I suspect that you either love it or you hate it. But I think it's really nice timber, which is obviously why it got milled to death, because it's just a beautiful thing to work with. But yeah.
Have you got any good alternatives that are similar to teak? Iroko is the one that keeps coming up.
That's the only one.
But I mean, is it similar or is it not really?
It's pretty similar. It feels. I mean, there's a noticeable waxiness to teak, which you can't really describe until you start working it, and then you just feel like you're slippery, and you don't get it quite the same way from Iroko, but it's very similar. But the color is completely different. The smell's completely different. Obviously, it's different.
The color's completely different.
Between Iroko and teak. I mean, it's quite different. Teak is more biscuity.
You say it's similar
because the properties are the same. If you go from the properties of longevity, oily, and like it's silica kind of content that's like hard on your machines, it's pretty close.
Okay.
But teak, you can actually see it glistening. You can see like the silica, I guess that's what it is. It like glistens on the cuts because it's like this crystalline kind of surface. It's interesting.
Does it, Joey, you saying it's got like a crystalline, does it, on jointer blades and things like that, does it kind of burn and gum up the way eucalypts do? Do you get a bit of residue left behind on the blades or not?
I don't have much experience machining eucalypts, but it definitely kills your blades, the teak. And there is a certain amount of gumming up. But like your jointer blades will be dead pretty quick. Like you'll have to resharpen.
And in terms of the gluing, I've heard that you've got to mill and glue, cut and glue. Is that a big deal?
What I've played with responded really well. Like I did the same thing when I first used teak, and I would cut, and I don't think it doesn't have to be straight away. The advice I was given was that before you glue up, clean down the joints with like paint thinners, something to get cut through the waxiness, and then use like a polyurethane glue and glue it up.
Not PVA.
That's the advice initially to me, that PVAs might not do the job. But afterwards, after doing work with scraps and stuff around my workshop, I mean, you can just glue it up like any old piece of wood.
And in terms of finish, anything that's a no-no?
Well, I think you have to kind of go with something like teak oil first, because it's got to cut through that waxy surface. It's noticeably slick and waxy and weird until you get something on it that can penetrate that and stick to it, and then you could probably put whatever you like on top. But I'd say a first coat of teak oil would be the way to go.
What is teak oil?
It's mostly thinners. It's like Danish oil with more thinners.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it just cuts through that waxy surface and lets the resin get to the timber and kind of penetrate a little bit, and then it just kind of seals it, and then you can do what you like, in my opinion.
But I guess going back to what we were saying earlier, Brian, about just sticking with oil, if this, I don't even know if I'm going to do anything more than oil on this, because it really doesn't require it.
I would caution that I wouldn't be surprised if you went straight on with, say, Osmo. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't dry on straight teak because it's too oily.
But if you just went with something like what's an oil? Just I'm just trying to think of just a straight
Danish
oil,
or teak oil.
Danish oil, yeah.
Danish oil is a less thinned version of teak oil, so it probably works as well.
Yeah.
But I would be a little cautious because it is bloody waxy. Like it just feels like slick as. So.
Yeah, if you test
I'm
samples.
going to pick this up.
Yeah,
that's probably a good way to do it. Yeah, I'm going to pick this stuff up tomorrow. It's been delivered up from Brisbane, and it's about a 300 kilo load. And now I'm debating. I spoke to the delivery company yesterday, and they were pretty cool about it. They said, "No, we've dropped it in our warehouse. You can come and go. I might even do a couple of trips to break open the pack and do it in a couple loads." Because I don't have a forklift on site, they can't deliver it.
Yeah.
Pain in the ass, but it's just one of those things where I've never really had to worry about that. But yeah, so tomorrow getting this back is going to be quite interesting. And then the reason I was asking about the Aroko is the people of this. It's Matthews Timber down in Brisbane. Someone gave me the suggestion for them. I literally said to them, "How much teak have you got?" They told me, and I said, "I need all of it." So that's all the teak that they've got. I'm taking it. So I've got to try and make this project work out of it. And being solid timber, there's certain, the design has to be in such a way that it can accept movements, all of that. So I've got this. I'm nervous that I'm going to get the sides, the front, the doors. That's fine, the drawers, but the back panel, I might need to find another solution. And the way this client was it must be teak.
Well,
I've got two options for you, right?
Yeah.
But you see, now I'm not doing solid wood anymore, so that's why
I don't make TGMV for the back.
Unless you're going to do it like shiplap and things like that, and sort of have
make shiplap boards, because
that's what I was going to do. Tongue and groove.
You are going to do that, okay?
Something like that.
Yeah, tongue and groove. So it's quite low slung. So picture a top rail, a middle rail, and then a bottom rail. Yeah, because that's the only bit of racking strength. So that's why I put the middle rail in, and then between that, do some tongue and groove. Now can I get all of that out of this rough sawn teak? Which I don't. The guy just said to me, you can get it down to. You should be able to mill everything down to 25 mil, and then from there see what. Anyway, this is gonna
first, like with your back panels, they can be 10 mil thick. You can make 10 mil shiplap, like it can be thin as. Like you don't need to do anything too thick. So
and save the worst grade of timber for it as well, Robin.
True. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Also, not that you can ignore it, but in my experience, teak is very stable. Like it's not going to move very much. Obviously, you can't allow. It's not like plywood, but it really is. Probably not going to move.
Okay. Well, the original one that's the original design that he had was with just solid doors, which just literally, he just wanted solid doors made up of the timber. And I said to him, I'm not sure about that because that's, you're going to end up with doors that are sticking. So we might just go with rail and style. Is that the right term? Yeah. But he was sort of saying, I reckon with teak we'll be okay because it's stable enough.
Yeah. If you give yourself enough gap, like enough clearance for it to get a bit bigger if it wants to, then I don't like it. I don't like doing doors like that because it might be stable. There's nothing saying that it won't want to twist.
Or cup.
Yeah, cup. And so that's what you have to really like. How do you guarantee that? I don't know.
How big are the doors, Robin?
Well, the unit is around 1,200 wide, so 600 each.
Okay, so that's pretty wide.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
I would be very, without putting some kind of strong back on the back of it to keep it straight. Doing it in flat panels would be pretty dicey, I think.
But this is going to be my first time doing rail and styles too. But hey, why not? The rest of it's very simple. So my thought process was, let me focus on doing doors like this, which I've never done before, and the rest of it should be quite straightforward.
Yeah, cool.
And then after that, so I've allotted 2 months for that, and this comes back to the profitability, because I work from 9 until 2, well, till 3, because I've got to do the school run. I feel like I can never really. This is 2 months worth of work, and that's what I was asking earlier, Joe, about how much work you have lined up, and you said you've got all these projects in a month. Like I can't even imagine building at that speed. So I've assigned 2 months to this project where you would probably have a month, if not less.
Yeah, I do get stuff out the door quick, but there's no way to make money. Like I'm very aware how much money I don't have. And so it's like, and I can see the work I have, and we've talked about it before. The longer it takes to do a job, the less you actually get paid, because by the time you're paid and you've paid all these other bills and lived your life, the money you got from it is nowhere near what you need, because you've spent more while you've been living waiting to get paid. So you've got to get the job done, obviously to the right standard, but you've just got to move it. And I feel for you, because I do my best work between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. Like that's when work gets done, and then trails off for the rest of the day as my brain kind of dies.
7 a.m. I'm in the trenches at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm not in the workshop.
And actually, even recently, I've been working weekends just to get stuff out the door. And
well, the way I see it is, I've got two options. I either work faster or get better profit margins. So I know that when someone's come to me and says, "Can you build me a vanity?" Cha-ching, yes, here we go, massive profit margin, because it's white boxes and some solid timber. But for stuff like this, for this cabinet where I'm milling the timber,
that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and me, it's still unknowns.
Robin, just make yourself the timber vanity guy.
Yeah. Oh no,
like
totally.
I have 6-7 different styles, or even 3 different styles, 2 different sizes of each style. Boom. Your costs are fixed relatively. You know how long it takes to make it.
Yeah.
It doesn't take over your entire workshop. I don't know.
I get what you're saying with that, Brian, but I would push back a little and say that it doesn't cost any extra to be the any size vanity guy. You can be completely custom for no extra cost. You can still have a range of styles, but even then, I say, why limit any client to a style when just show me what the style is and I'll make it as big as you like. It's not going to take more than 5 more minutes to draw it up.
True. True.
But you just have to get used to the process.
You give people too much choice and they don't end up buying. And a lot of the time.
Yeah. Okay. I think clients. You've got clients you've got 2 different types of clients. You've got a client who's coming shopping, like window shopping, looking for the inspirational thing that they want. And then, which 99% of my clients aren't. Most of my clients are, this is what I want. I've found it, but it's not the right size or color or whatever. Can you make me one of these that fits my space? And I'm like, yep, sure, bang, done. And so there's a different, I don't know, I don't even know how you would differentiate that from a marketing point of view, but there is 2 different clientele there, right? And I think, Brian, most of your clients are the shopping people who see your awesome like art and say, that's cool, I want one of those star maps. Whereas no one would come to you and say, I want the stars put on a table because it's my original idea. I don't think hardly anyone would have that.
Yep.
One thing I will say that I've discovered in sort of in line, I think this is a bridge between both of what you're saying. I recently finished a big fish tank cabinet, and this thing was, it had to hold 2,000 kilos worth of water weight. And so for me, it was a big risk. And I've got a friend here in Townsville who has a full-size CNC. And he had said to me, bring the sheets over and we'll cut them on the CNC. That way they're all perfect. My goodness, is that the way to do cabinetry? I said to him after this experience, we're going to become best buds, because you just get the parts, bring them back to the workshop, you join it up, and there were 9 sheets of plywood. Now obviously there's a lot of design that goes into it, so you can't ignore that, and there's a lot of stress in that because your design has got to be perfect before it goes away, and then after that there's no changes. But even with the design in mind and the time it took to cut those panels, it took us one morning to cut everything on his CNC, and you can't beat that. So if I'm doing, even if it's a custom vanity or whatever size vanity, to get the materials, take it to his house, get it cut, and then put it together, the profit margin that you can get on that is just so much higher than anything solid wood.
Okay. I don't know that I agree with you, but yeah, go for it. You go first.
One thing I would say is there's a few outside influences there that are playing into it. There's 2 of you working on it, right? So there's you and him lifting sheets up onto the CNC, correct? And you don't have you don't have a workbench in your workshop that would be the size of a full sheet of plywood, do you?
No. If I want to cut any of my sheets, I take them into the garage, cut them up to rough size, then bring them into the workshop.
Yeah. So I would say if you had a space big enough and a decent enough track saw set up and an extra person to help you lift, you'd probably find much of a muchness in terms of efficiency.
You cannot. I had 9 verticals to cut. There is no ways I'm going to get 9 verticals all exactly the same size on a track saw.
You just have
categorically disagree.
Seriously, if you have a decent rail system, you'll see them online. A rail system that clips into effectively like a gantry on the bench, and you set up solid stops where you slide the sheet over, you hit a stop, you run the track, you slide this.
Yeah.
So there are ways to do it. I know what you're saying, Robin. But if you're looking at, a decent full-size CNC for 30, 40 grand, 50 grand by the time you add in a vacuum, and do you know what I mean? Like versus 2 or 3 grand to construct a bench like that. There are ways to do it. I do agree with you that a CNC is the ultimate way to do it, but there are things that are also like having an extra person more important than having the CNC.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think for someone in your position who doesn't have a table saw or the space to lay out multiple sheets, then CNC is probably the way to go. Especially for anything over, say, 5 sheets. If you had to cut up 5 sheets, it's probably more worth your while even now to do it by yourself.
Correct, yeah.
For me, like I could cut the parts to a vanity in about 20 minutes on my table saw.
Yes,
like
with your
it's like not even
panel saw.
Worth putting it in the car to take it up to someone with a CNC. Like it's so like just it doesn't compute.
Did he do all the hinge rebates and everything for you as well, Robin, or not?
No, there wasn't any of that.
That's a whole other level of planning, and I think that's so far beyond.
He did mention that to me. He said, I can do all of the pilot holes for you as well. And I just said, no, that's,
Robin, okay, if we're going back and we're saying you're the timber vanity guy and you've got 3 designs, two different sizes of each, that's when you can start adding that level of detail into your drawings.
Yes.
And the second that he's giving you parts, you're just coming back to assemble them. Like you're not having to measure anything,
for
drill
sure.
anything. That's when you're starting to get huge efficiencies of your time.
Yeah, I think this whole discussion comes down to efficiency. I mean, whether you want to use a circular saw or a jigsaw, I don't care how you cut your panels as long as it works, right? As long as you get the finish you need. As I think about this, I have very specific process of how I put, say, cabinets together, and I have changed it slightly over the years, and it's pretty much the same every time now. And I know exactly, like once I have my cabinets built, I know exactly how long it's going to take and how to go about doing each step because I've done it forever. And it's so quick that I don't even think about even it. I'm almost anti having my panels put through on a CNC for the pure fact that I have to still watch the CNC work. Like it's not like you can just sit back and not do anything when a CNC is operating. You still have to be there because we've all seen them explode and the code's wrong and suddenly it's all bugged. So it's not like it's a second person in the workshop. And so from that point of view, it's much quicker for me just to build the thing and do it the way I know that works. I've got a process. I'll do it. But if you're going to make 40 vanities that are the same, the first thing I'm going to do is cut up a cut shop and get them to cut 40 vanities on the CNC because I don't want to stand there and do it. Someone else could do it. So there's always like swings and roundabouts about what approach you take for any given job.
Yeah. But now, after this teak cabinet that I was talking about earlier, the next one after that is a glass display cabinet, which again, so excited to do this. I've never worked with glass before, so I've been having to ring up suppliers to find, glass and put that on. And it's really exciting. But again, I know that my profit margin on that is not going to be massive. So it's just, it's really difficult. And I think because in some ways, Joey, you benefit because that's your only source of income. So you have to work at a constant, level. Whereas because I've got a wife who's bringing in a very, very nice salary, I find myself sitting, looking at the design going, all right, let me make sure I get this right. So there's no stuff ups. Whereas with you, we're going to go, it's got to be good. It's got to be right. And we can't sit and contemplate every decision.
That's such a good, you just described my last week exactly. Have we got time for me to tell a quick story?
Come on, Joey's. Is it Joey's client corner?
Kind of.
It actually is.
Oh, play the theme tune, Robin. It's been far too long.
So that was a beautiful song. Thanks, Jim. Right. I have been booked up for quite a while. I was booked to start a kitchen in April, the 1st of April. We are now recording on the 30th of May. So
30th of April.
Just
30th
finished.
of April.
Sorry, 30th of April. So we're still, this job should have been and gone. So I show up for the measure up. Great, did my measure up. And then I said, right, I need the appliances dropped off as per my email saying I need all the appliances that I need. Well, they weren't ready. She hadn't even thought about ordering them. So that went down a whole other road of can't get the ones I want. It's too expensive. There's the delay because of diesel costs, everything else. And so it's like, okay, fine. We'll move. No. So I was like, okay, I'm still starting like in 3 days. I'm starting your kitchen. And then, the design's not right. I'm like, well, why is the design not right? She had to go back to the designer because something had to change. So then it just, everything, I had priced the job on a design to start on a date. and then everything got like kind of pulled out from you, and it's like, this is not how I make money. I've geared up to do your job for the next month, and then I'm doing another job. On the 1st of May, I'm starting another job. So it's just a pain in the butt when now I'm waiting. I've got a half-finished kitchen, still don't have the oven, so I can't finish half of it. And I'm meant to be starting 3 other things, and which I have started, but I've got no room. And, it's just the classic.
That's a big one for me, is the room, I find.
Yeah.
Because I've got a relatively modest workshop, and I've got 2 workbenches. So right now I've got a set of office drawers that I'm working on sitting on there. And I'm also trying to mill up some timber for this display cabinet. It's from stuff that I've dried. So I need to mill that up to get that acclimated in the shop. This teak's about to arrive tomorrow. I'm out of space. I got nowhere to work now.
Yeah. It's amazing. When I built this workshop, and then we hired a shipping container as like extra storage, and that completely saved my life, because as soon as something's finished, like that shipping container is empty. I don't put anything in it apart from clients' like finished pieces. So
You've still got it, Joey, yeah?
Get something. Yeah, I mean, I was only meant to have it for one job, and then I just keep passing on the rental fee to clients, because it's like invaluable to have that extra space. Where
How much does it cost roughly?
I think they said it's like $7 a day or something. It depends on.
Oh, is that it?
Depends on the month. You pay through the nose to get it delivered, and you pay up front for the delivery and taking away fee. So it's like, might be $3,000 to get it on site.
Right. Okay.
And then when you don't want it, you don't pay anything, because you've already paid for that taking away fee. But then they just bill you for however many days in the month. So it's actually pretty useful, because when you tell a client, yeah, it's like $7 a day, and they're like, oh, fine, just give me the bill for it. As long as their stuff's in it, I can bill them for it. But it just clears up actual room. Like, even if, like in your case, you could just put all the teak in there for a couple of days while you sort out some other room, finish something, put it in the container, then get the teak back out. It's just, as long as you don't make it like the kids' bike storeroom and like, all your other stuff, you just be quite strict about using it for what it's for. It's made the world of difference for me, having actual usable space that is not a dusty workshop.
Yeah, I've got my garage, which is now slowly being engulfed with drying timber.
Right.
I have sheet goods leaned up against our, those floor to ceiling shelves, the metal shelves that everyone has in the garage. Those are all now behind sheet goods. I'm just literally right. There's no more space in my vicinity to store anything.
How's your timber drying been going? Have you guys had a little bit of flooding up there or not?
No, this season we got away with. It was, we were quite lucky this season.
You're lucky. Okay.
It's actually been really good. We've talked about drying your own timber in the past, and we've all got varying opinions on it. One of my issues that I've always had with it is, it's one of those things that you tend to collect, but you don't really put to use because it's so specific. This office drawer that I'm building for a client now, the fronts and top are African mahogany. The display cabinet is going to be African mahogany. So it's really cool.
Sell what you've got.
And that's a log. What was it? The cut piece was maybe 1.4 meters long, and there's maybe 8 slabs out of it. They are around 300 mil wide. I think I paid $140 to get that milled up. So then when you take that $140 and you turn it into actual timber on a project, holy shit, this is, there's a serious margin on that. It's amazing. So it takes a long time, but you do see that value in the end.
It's funny you say that, Robin. I've had a couple of slabs of grey ironbark, and there's another one of peppermint tree. I bought those the first year that I started Sawdust Bureau. I used one for the first time the other day. It is
Mm.
the most beautiful timber. Like it's the
Which
grey
one's it?
ironbark
The
that I
ironbark?
use for a couple of star map tables. The growth rings on it are probably the tightest that I have seen on any piece of timber that I've ever worked with. I don't know how old that
Yeah,
tree
well,
was.
ironbark's notorious for being mega dense, mega hard, isn't it?
It
All
machines
ironbarks.
really this. I mean, again, I've used it before in the past for dining tables and stuff, and it is a nightmare to work on a smaller scale piece like this. I kind of enjoyed working with it. Like it machined, they were fresh blades, but it machined really nicely. But yeah, the growth rings on it, that thing must have been, I don't know, 250 years old, maybe something like that.
Crazy.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, all quarters on, so it's like really, really straight,
nice.
tight grains, and it is stable
Awesome.
as. So yeah, it's been fun. Like,
Yeah.
but like you said, it still had the chalk mark of how much I paid for it. This is a slab that's maybe
Right.
500 wide by 1.6 meters. $50.
Yeah.
And on all these
Wow.
pieces, it's
Wow.
like $40,
Jeez.
$70. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh.
Yeah. How times have changed.
In South Africa, I went to a one of these woodworking. Well, I think it was like just a timber store in general. And the slabs there, when you convert dollars to rands, I was just thinking, I wonder what the cost would be to get this. I mean, obviously, I couldn't.
You couldn't even get it into Aussie, could
No,
you?
they'd burn it at the border. But yeah, it was just so much cheaper over there. Yeah. Anyway, cool. All right, let's leave it there.
Yes.
All right.
We've just gone over an hour. I've still got so much to talk about.
Yep.
Joey's, by the sounds of things, still got so much to talk about. But let's save that for the next episode.
Apologies for the tech issues,
cool.
guys. Apologies.
That's all right. It's expected in the first episode. Just want to say thanks again to everyone who left us messages about coming back onto the show. Here's your first episode. We're going to be putting one out every 2 weeks, fortnightly. Also want to mention in the show notes, there's a link to a donation page. You know, whatever you can, if you want to, it's apps. There's no pressure to donate, but we do put all of the funds back into the show. So if you do choose to donate, thank you very much for that. Anything else you guys want to mention before we go?
No, it's lunchtime. I'm going to go have some lunch.
That sounds like a great idea.
Got some great guests lined up for this season. So yeah, excited to start again, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, everyone. See
Good
you
one.
next time.
See ya. Bye.
See you guys.